Hey, what's happening? Once again, we back, baby. We live. You know what I'm saying? We here to talk about GC Talks, man. And today we got a good topic for y'all, man. We're gonna talk about hard work, dedication, sacrifices to the goals that you are trying to achieve. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people make this ish look sexy, but it ain't. You know what I'm saying? You got to put in sweat equity to get to where you're trying to be in life. You know what I'm saying? And that may take you 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. You never know. It just depends on where your goals lie. So, cuz I want to kick this off and I want to ask you this question because I think people definitely need to understand this. When did you realize you had to put in sweat equity to get to your goals?
Man, that's a good question. I think in my 20s, I would have these elusive goals, but not necessarily have a detailed plan to get there. And it stayed in the space of, I want to be a millionaire.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? And it sounded good. It felt good. Like I felt empowered when I said it. And even when I watched motivational, videos, doing an affirmation, but I still didn't quite make the connection of, okay, that's cool. And that's absolutely phenomenal. That's awesome that you have that vision that you want to do that, be the first millionaire in your family. But what is that next step? What is that next step and starting the process of working that next step, then the next step, then the next step, and it starts the process of a basically snowball effect in the direction of where you're trying to go over time. So to answer your question directly, I would say just the last several years, 3-4 years, I just realized you got to play the long game. Like you got to play the long game and be committed to the long game. And then sometimes you might not like what it looked like, but understand that's a part of the process. Like I think a lot of times I got caught up in the end, looking at the end, and then when it wasn't coming in year one, not realizing I was building, like it actually was working. And so I'll mess around, and like I said, in my 20s, I'll mess around and being like, year 3 of the process is working. I'm building momentum, and because it's not coming fast enough, I'll switch the game up, call it audible, not having the awareness to know, it was working. You're working. Just keep working. Keep moving. And then I tear down what I just did. And then now I'm starting over again. So I'm not starting all the way over. Like maybe I was on step 3, maybe I was on step 4. And then because I didn't have that awareness to know, you on step 4, you're going to step 20, but you're on step 4 right now. Just keep moving, stay consistent. I'll mess up, I'll tear it up, not realizing where I'm at. Now I'm at like step 1 or step 2. So I'm not at necessarily ground zero, but then I'm back at step 2. And just continuously do that. Like take 3-4 steps forward, take a step back. 3-4, 3 back. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so in this space of not having awareness to know, you do know that this is a long game. Like you got to play the long game. And what happens is your life, if you're operating in solid principles and moving in the right direction, what happens is your life becomes like compound interest. And so it just starts to slowly compound. Now, year 1, it might look like you ain't having no progress, but then year 3, okay, year 5, year 10, now everybody looking at you like, want to have a quick conversation with you, like, what you doing? And you like, bro, like, I really can't even download it to you in this one conversation. Like, we talk, because I got to break it down to you from step 1, where it was the very beginning. But then I realized, when you start having that conversation, people like, and then they realize, this, what I see right now, that looks sexy, but what you're talking about, that ain't sexy. I'm good on that. And so, just several years ago, and then it helped get mentoring, coaching, and really get the proper perspective. And they telling you like, it took me 15 years. It took me 20 years. And then you start getting the proper perspective. That way you can calibrate. And so, I just found, like, I'm at that place where I'm like, this is the long game, baby. Like, my chapter 7 or chapter 8. Hey, you might be on chapter 15, chapter 20, but hey, I'm about to max out my 7 so I can get to 8. Then I'm gonna max out 8. I'm gonna get to 9. I'm gonna get there. You might have got there faster, but I'm gonna just be the turtle. Like however long it take me to get there, I'm gonna get there. And there'll be some years where I know it's gonna be a quantum leap in some of those years, and that's the thing. And because it's compound interest, you don't know what years is gonna be that. It's gonna be those, like, cause you play baseball, right? Mm-hmm. So you get it. You like, you know what? I'm not swinging for the fence every time. I'm just about to get on base. My home runs will come, but cause swinging for the fence every time, you strike out more too. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, I'm just base hitting, baby. Just base hitting. Then a home run comes, which means, a quantum leap in that year. Then base hitting, home run, base. You know what I'm saying? It just starts building, and you just can't account. You don't really know when those home runs are gonna come, but because you've been base hitting, you prepared yourself for those home runs. Everybody else looking at it like, yo. And you're like, yo, I've been base hitting for like the last 10, 15 years. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So, because I'm a structures and process type of guy, how were you tracking your progress? When did you, start tracking your progress for you to have the, the awareness of, oh, okay, I'm doing all right. So how you track your progress? What are you doing?
So I give one example, like for like working out. This is probably a good one. So you're right. Like if you don't track it, it ain't real. Like if you're not tracking it, it's not real. And probably one of the easiest examples for people to probably get is when you're working out, you got your nutrition going or lack thereof, what have you. One thing that don't lie, that scale don't lie. So I started realizing that I needed to have scales in my life to be able to measure and track it. And it is what it is. Whatever it is, that's where it's at. That way you can look at something tangible to check the scoreboard. Like that's basically what you're doing. You're like, okay, and it's just progress. Like, okay, I said I wanted to lose, I wanted to lose a total of 10, 15 pounds. Over the last over the last month, you stepping on that scale and you hadn't lost anything, it's a clear indicator that you're not doing something correctly to lose the weight. And so I started putting things in my life that I could measure. Like, so for example, with the weight loss journey and all that, I step on the scale every day. I'm looking at the progress or lack thereof and being able to adjust, not beat myself up, own what I hadn't been doing or what I have been doing, when it's small wins, celebrate it, get back to it. But setting up things in my life where I could track it, like tracking, like having, and so that's kind of to answer your question on the weight loss side, tracking it. But then what is that scale in other areas of your life? You got to figure out what that measuring thing is, so you can see how you are incrementally improving. Most people are scared to, and I was there, like, how it is, cuz, like you go on vacation or something, you've been tracking your stuff, and then you don't track on your vacation. You scared to get back. You scared to get on the scale when you come back because you already know. And it's like that with your finances, other things. You're like, man, I don't want to count the cost of my budget because I'm afraid to come to that realization that you already know, but then it's real when you look at the facts and the data. And so you avoid it sometimes, but actually the growth is when you actually face it. And then that way you can make a plan and move and move accordingly. And it's just one day at a time. But that's, to answer your question, you got to track things. You got to track it, and you got to be held accountable.
Yeah, like journaling, tracking everyday progress, whatever your goals are, you want to write it down. You want to make sure that you're tracking every step, because honestly, if you don't, you can go a year and you can continue to progress, but you don't know that you're progressing. You just know that you haven't reached that goal. And so that is one of those tools that will really help you in your progress. So KJ, I'm gonna kick it to you. So I know you know, in the military, and you got to do your CDCs. So are you setting up a plan as far as, you know, a study plan, you know, the test date plan? Like, are you tracking all of that so that way that you know what you need to do to finish this out? You're on mute.
So yeah, I give myself like no more than 3 weeks every book, and I just try to test out each book. That's what I've been doing. That's what's been helping me track my progress in it. And I go to my supervisor. We sit down. We talk about each book or whatever. We go through it, look at it together, and we just keep going. So every 3 weeks we was doing that. But in between that time, of course, I had TDYs, I had small deployments, whatever I took. So I kind of got sidetracked because I had to take care of those missions. But to track my CDCs, I was just every 3 weeks I have another book coming out.
So after being sidetracked, did you start now, putting those possibilities in your plan? You know what I'm saying? Of, man, I got this coming up. So how do I adjust? Did you make adjustments? How did you do that when you got hit with those TDYs?
So I just talk to my supervisor, and I just be like, hey, like this coming up, like can I get an extension? Just ask for extension and give it to me, and then I just try to work around it. So
okay. Okay. Kim, you in college. You know what I'm saying? Full schedule, classes. How do you track your progress in your classes? How do you schedule out your study sessions? How do you do all that when it comes to school?
So for me, I think one of one of the hardest parts for me was realizing that you don't have to do this alone no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I felt like in high school, you feel like you got to workhorse it and do this whole thing by yourself because, prior to me, it wasn't really nobody doing this process in terms of like figuring out how to apply to schools out of state and how to even break into the Ivy League. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna put on my back and figure it out. That attitude will get you here, but it definitely won't help you stay here. You'll burn out if you keep that same mentality of thinking you got to do this thing by yourself. And so for me, my main remedy to that, because I feel like I fell into that trap freshman year of feeling like, you know what, things are tough, but I'm tough too, so I'll figure it out. But don't rely on yourself being tough. Don't force yourself to be tough. Go get help if it's available. You know what I'm saying? Like life isn't a test, and Kenneth helped me realize that. Life, it is a test, but if you fail, you don't fail the class. You know what I'm saying? Like you can keep taking that test, and so figure out it's an open book test. And so use your resources. Surround yourself with friends who are doing the right thing. Surround yourself with friends that are going to be studying on Friday night. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have plenty of friends that's partying on Friday night, but do you got friends that's actually studying too on Friday night? And not only do you have the friends that are doing the right things, but are you using these resources? Because this school is full of incredible resources, but they're not just throwing them at you. You got to go seek them out yourself. And so I tell people all the time, the hardest part about this college stuff, it's not even the materials, it's having the time management skills, because it don't matter what the school is. Calculus don't change, science don't change. I mean, science changed, but you know what I'm saying? Like the materials isn't hard. It's, are you able to handle all the extracurricular distractions and all your other responsibilities as well as class on your own now that you're away from the crib and you ain't got, mom and dad to get you out the bed and say, hey, ain't you supposed to be doing your homework? And, you know what I'm saying? You got to monitor all that by yourself. So you got to have some system in place.
Yeah. I need people to understand, man, like it ain't sexy. Think about every process in your life, right? Nothing is quick. We go to school, right? Years. We go to college for years. I've never heard of a baseball player never playing, growing up, and then trying out for the MLB and getting paid. I've never heard that, right? Everybody, been putting in work, been putting in time, been putting in years to get to those points, man. And so we have to realize that when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to developing and becoming better people, right? It's a process. So whatever you are doing, you have to take that time. A lot of people don't even understand their strengths and weaknesses, let alone you saying you're trying to be a millionaire, which is so vague, right? Like we just said, you have to understand the long game and understand the process to get there. Don't quit, don't give up. So what is the mindset? And I want to keep it to the young fellas, because you know what I mean, we millennials, you know what I'm saying? Well, y'all not, but me and cuz of millennials, you know what I'm saying? So I know that y'all are even more microwave than we are. So when you think about, man, for me to really be financially free, for me to really get to the points of life of where I want to be, it may take me 10 years to really, see the fruits of my labor in that way. How does that make you feel? And either one of y'all can jump in on that.
And kind of me personally, it kind of makes me a little nervous, a little worried, because growing up, I was used to just always seeing something I wanted it. I get it, like it was obtainable. So me now having to see me realizing like, yo, like I want to be this. So I got to work my butt off these next 15 years. Like it might be nice where I'm like, man, I don't feel like doing this, or maybe nice where like I don't see like my progress, or what I'm saying, what like where I'm at. Like just those things right there kind of scares me. At the same time, I gotta keep them back in my head. Like, hey, like all this is gonna be worth it. So that's how I feel about it. It's kind of scary, but I know it's gonna be worth it though. Just putting in the work.
I feel KJ on that, but it can be intimidating. But I feel like once you accept that it's a process, I don't know. To me, it's almost freeing. It's almost like, man, it's almost like a weight lifted, knowing like, you're right. I don't have to build this empire by tomorrow. They didn't build their empires in one day or in 1 week. And so, with me, like, I remember hearing y'all earlier talk about how when you come back from vacation and you're scared to look at that scale. I feel like our generation, we live like that. It isn't a moment. That's not a moment for us. We live in fear like that, whether it be scared to look at our scale, scared to check our grades, scared to check our bank account, because we feel like, man, if we're not the generation that fixes it, who is going to fix it? And so being able to say, you know what, I got time to fix this. I got time. I have to, like, when I say it's a relief, I mean, I don't have that feeling of, man, my life gonna throw a pop quiz at me this week, and if I ain't ready for it, this whole empire goes down. Getting out of that mindset and thinking, you know what, even if I do fail a pop quiz, if I do make a mistake with money, or if I don't go to the gym, or if I don't do something, if I fail in some type of way, that doesn't mean that the mission's over, the game's over. You know what I'm saying? I have multiple opportunities, and the thing isn't about looking for opportunities, it's about being ready for them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, we get so caught up in, man, is the next opportunity gonna come? Am I gonna fumble the opportunity? We're not even thinking about, oh, I should be getting ready for the opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
So is that now knowing, is the sacrifice hard to make, to say, you know what, man, there's some things in my life I got to sacrifice to get to where I'm trying to go?
It feels good, man. I ain't gonna lie. It feels good because I'm like, you know what? I don't, cause it's in your brain, you're like, man, I'm trying to, you're holding tomorrow's Keon to the standards of Keon 10 years from now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, how do I become that person? How do I achieve all these years of growth in a month? And you'll drive yourself crazy trying to do that. So now I'm like, you know what? Let me accept that this is a process. And once you finally accept that, you realize that any progress is good progress. You know what I'm saying? As long as you are committed to that growth mindset, then you're able to, release trauma and do things like that and properly build your foundation. Because you only got to build your foundation one time, and then it's just maintaining that foundation and growing from it.
Cause why do people feel like they have to grow at the same rate as the next person that they see, right? You know what I mean? So you like, man, he got a Lexus, I should have a Lexus too. Man, he got a 3-story house or whatever. Man, I should have that too. Like, he ain't doing nothing special. He ain't no smarter than me. Like, why do people feel they got to move at the same rate as the next man that they see?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's funny. So, it go back to what I was talking about. Most people can get this because you've probably been to school before. Think of life as chapters, and so where a person is making a mistake, and I've made that mistake. So so I'll say what we end up doing is we're looking at that person that's riding around in that Porsche, that Porsche Taycan. You don't realize they on chapter 20. You in chapter 4 or 5, and you looking at someone that's in their 20. They might make it look easy, but you're just looking at the result. Like money, things, objects, that's the result. That's not, you didn't see like what's that Drake quote, and he said, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. Right. So you didn't see day in, day out a person putting in that work that first. They in chapter 20, but you didn't see 1 through 19. They didn't have a car note. They don't have no bad debt. They built their business. And if they don't have a business, they solid in their career, and they grind late nights working in their career to position themselves to where once they bought that Porsche Taycan, it wasn't going to be a burden on themselves and their family, and they can truly enjoy it. So you gotta honor the chapter that you're on. You can leverage someone else's chapter as inspiration, but then you gotta come back to the present day on where you are with your chapter and figure out how can I move to chapter 6.
Come on now. So
you know what I'm saying? And if anything, get the coaching from someone that's in chapter 20 or the game, but don't get the game so you could be at chapter, because you on 5, right? So you need to be asking questions. Yo, I'm inspired by what you did, and I can see myself doing that in my form on what's intended for me, and asking the right questions, not how can I get that Taycan, how can I have the mindset, how can I develop the discipline to apply to my life to get to my chapter 6 that'll position me, whether it's 5 years, 10 years from now, so I can have the option to buy because the Porsche Taycan might not be your thing. It might be, it might be some dream thing for you. It might be a dream crib or a mansion or whatever it is, but you can't skip steps. So a lot of times, even when a person sees that person in chapter 20, they're still asking questions, trying to like, in basketball, trying to do the crossover. So you're still trying to finesse the process, and you cannot finesse the process. You got to go through the process and grow through the process, and be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And be cool with that. Like, I think that's the hardest thing, and I can only speak for myself. You like, it's simple, but it's not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not emotionally there, like, you got to be okay with, whether it take me 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, I'm ready to put in the time and wait and be patient.
Right. So it's the proper questions that you need to ask, right? Okay. For instance, right? People may see me now, right? Got a $60,000 car, but ain't nobody asking me how long it took me to get a $60,000 car. You know what I'm saying? In my lifetime, this is only the 3rd car. This is my 3rd car. I had a Alero, right? I had a Alero. People don't even know what an Alero is. I had an Alero, and then I had a Challenger, but I got it in the Depression, so it was cheap. So those are the only 2 cars I had, and I paid them off extremely fast. So me having a car note was nothing. Like, before I bought this car, I hadn't had a car note in like 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Nobody asking those questions. They just asking, oh man, I like that. I want that. You know what I'm saying? But nobody asking me like the sacrifices that I had to put in to get to this point. You know what I'm saying? Nobody asked, because I know people that done had multiple cars, my age, the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it was the sacrifice to now, like, all right, each car I got, I was like, I'm upgrading. So even, hey, wait till y'all see this next one, baby. It's gonna be even sweeter. I'm trying to tell you. So yeah, man. But sacrifice, man. Sacrifice is key. Cause cause we can talk about it. Which this conversation we have all the time, you know what I mean? Planning out them cheat meals, right? You trying to stay in shape, trying to stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? You understand that you can't just go out here and just be eating reckless, eating what you want to eat, eating, you know what I'm saying, what comes to mind. It's like, nah, you know what? If I want to eat, the steak and lobster mac and cheese on Saturday, like I can't have no cheeseburger, nothing during the week. I can't be doing all this extracurricular activity, during the week. And I got to stay on the plan in the gym and my cardio and everything else. Like it's a process, it's a plan. And for you to get to those things that you kind of want, you know what I'm saying? You got to sacrifice. It's all about that sacrifice. You gotta sacrifice. Like I don't get it. And so for me, like I definitely came to that conclusion probably about 5 or 6 years ago of like, yo, okay, to get to where I want, there's things that I need to do. It ain't sexy, but what I want is sexy. I don't think y'all heard me. The process ain't sexy. But what I want is, cuz that poor sexy. That poor sexy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. It's right here.
It's sexy.
Right there. I look at it every day. But I gotta hit a certain net worth before I even think about
it. Yeah. The money I want to build for my family. It's sexy. The things I want to leave for them, things I want to set up for them. It's sexy. But this process, this work every day we put in, these sweat equity, these long hours, it ain't sexy. It ain't sexy. So, we only got a few more minutes left. And so I want to kind of take it around the room. And then I'll start with you, Keon. Keon, what is something that is sexy that you want, but you got to put in that sweat equity for?
Me, a couple of things. I definitely, I want to be just a better man first. That's one of the things I have to realize. Like, I'm not gonna be able to just let me lose the weight real quick. Let me learn how to get good with money real quick. Let me get my credit good. No, I need to learn how to become just a better man overall, and that I feel like that'll help me with all these processes. In terms of, like, when I say that, I mean building discipline, building self-control, becoming more stable emotionally. And I find that as I'm starting to gain, because like that's the unsexy part. Character ain't sexy. Building, well, let me say building it ain't sexy, but having women love men with character and stuff like that. Right. But so you have to build it first. You know what I'm saying? And you have to go through those hard times and those hard, you have to put yourself through those real talks. And I find that once you start operating in that mode of thinking, like, you know what, let me not think short term. Let me turn this into chess. Whether or not, no matter what situation you're in, if you're in class, if you're talking to friends, if you're networking, if you're looking for job opportunities, if you're preparing for anything, if you're having an argument, anything. Because all those situations where if you walk in without a plan or without preparation and you just let your instincts take over, your instincts could fail you so fast. Like, especially like in an argument when you mad and you just run off at the mouth, you done messed around and ruined a good thing, or then cussed out a friend, you know what I'm saying? Or an opportunity, you done ruined something because of your ego. And so learning to let things like that go, learning how to mature emotionally. That ain't sexy, but the end result definitely is. And so that's something that I'm working on.
Okay, KJ.
Shoot, me, I say two things right as of right now. I got other things, but I'll just keep it short. Two things. Definitely getting a better physique, building more muscle mass and, get a little bit more bigger. That's something I take pride in, what I'm saying, like looking good. So, putting those hour and a half sessions in the gym every day consistently, whether I want to or not, whether I'm feeling like, I had a long day at work, I'm like, nah, but I know like in the future, like one day I'm gonna be like, dang, like your boy looking good, you feel me? So that, and also too, my dream car is a Challenger. I have other dreams car, but I'm saying like, my first car, my first like dream car is a Dodge Challenger, Dodge Challenger 392. I'm saying, Scat Pack. I want it all blue. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already got it planned out. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that I feel like it's sexy, but I know it's gonna take time. I know it's gonna require me to put in some work to get it. You feel me? So yeah.
Okay, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it because we're getting you on that plan. So you already know you're gonna get it. Cool. Cool. What you got?
Me? I thought I already went.
Oh, you went? Okay. Well, yeah, man. There it is. We all got something. Oh, I don't think I went. Did I? I didn't say
nothing. Go.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. So it's so hard because it's so hard for me to even answer the question anymore. And because it ain't even on no arrogance, but everything that I want, I'm finna get it. Cause I got the cheat code now. You know what I mean? So whether it's that, I got that. Yeah, man. Okay, all right. $1 million in my investment account. There we go. So, you know what I mean? Like I'm putting in the sweat equity, I'm putting in the time to make that happen. And so whether that's 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 6, or whatever the case may be, it's gonna happen. So I'm just looking forward to all the things that's coming my way. Cause we got the cheat code. Now, when you got the cheat code, you're not, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like what Keon said, right? Like, I don't even sweat no more. Like, I'm just doing the process and it's coming. So, all right, man, I appreciate y'all and I appreciate everybody out there. Make sure to like, subscribe, add, share, because we putting in this work and we putting y'all on game, man. All right.